You ever stop to think about logistics? I don't mean for, Amazon packages, but for life itself. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the incredible and kind of invisible delivery systems that are working right now inside your own body and inside the plants just outside your window. Seriously, think about this for a second. How does a giant sequoia tree without a single muscle silently pull water hundreds of feet up into the air? And at the same time, how does your body manage to supply every single one of its 30 trillion cells with the oxygen it needs to survive? They seem like completely different worlds, right? But believe it or not, they're both solving the exact same logistics problem. And nature, well, it came up with two totally brilliant and totally different solutions. So you might be asking, why is this even a big deal? I mean, for a tiny little single-celled organism, life is pretty straightforward. All the good stuff it needs can just kind of seep in from the outside. That process is called diffusion. But for big, complex things like us or a tree, diffusion is just way, way too slow. It would be like trying to run the entire country's mail service with just one person walking. It's just not going to work. So the bottom line is this. For life to get big, it had to invent its own internal highway system. It needed a dedicated network to rush things like food, water, and oxygen all over the place. And just as important, to haul all the trash out. Without this amazing internal plumbing, complex life just couldn't exist, period. Okay, so let's start with the delivery system that we're all living in right now, the human circulatory system. It is an absolute marvel of engineering. It's a high-speed, high-pressure network that's perfectly designed for an organism that's always on the move, always thinking, and always burning energy. Our whole system really boils down to three core parts. First, you've got the pump, your incredible heart, a muscle that pushes blood through your entire body about once every single minute. Then you have the tubes, an absolutely staggering network of blood vessels that, if you laid them end to end, would stretch for 60,000 miles. And finally, and this is just genius, you have a built-in repair crew, these little things called platelets that are always on patrol, ready to plug up any leaks. Now, because this is a high-pressure system, we have to talk about the force that makes it all go, blood pressure. It's really just what it sounds like. It's the force of all that blood pushing against the walls of your blood vessels. It's that constant pressure that allows your blood to get everywhere it needs to go, from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. So when you get your blood pressure taken, you always hear two numbers, right? Something like 120/80. Well, here's what that means. The first, bigger number, that's the systolic pressure. That's the peak force when your heart muscle squeezes and pumps blood out. The second, smaller number, that's the diastolic pressure. That's the pressure when your heart relaxes and refills with blood. That constant rhythm of push and relax, is literally the pulse of your life. All right, so we've got the pump, the pipes, and the pressure. Now let's really see how it all works. Let's follow a single red blood cell on its incredible journey through a super efficient system called the double circulation loop. Okay, let's trace the route. First, our little blood cell zips over to the lungs, grabs a bunch of oxygen, and heads to the left side of the heart. The supramuscular left side then gives it a powerful shove, sending it out to the entire body to make its deliveries. After it's dropped off all the oxygen, it's now deoxygenated, and it returns to the right side of the heart. From there, it gets sent on a quick trip back to the lungs to refuel with more oxygen and start the whole trip over again. See? It's two separate loops, one to the body and one to the lungs, all powered by one amazing pump. And this right here is the key to why our four-chambered heart is such a game changer. Keeping that oxygen-rich blood and oxygen-poor blood completely separate is absolutely vital. It makes sure that the blood going to our body is as oxygen-packed as possible, which allows for a super efficient energy supply. This is crucial for warm-blooded animals like us that need a ton of energy all the time just to stay warm. All right, deep breath. We've just been through the high-speed, high-octane human system. Now we're going to switch gears completely and look at a plant's plumbing. And this is a totally different philosophy. This is a silent, slow freight solution for a very, very different lifestyle. So why is it so different? Well, for starters, plants don't move around. A huge part of a tree, for instance, is actually dead cells, like wood, which don't need supplies. Because of all this, their energy needs are just way, way lower than ours. They can totally afford to take things nice and slow with a system that barely uses any energy. So instead of one big interconnected system like ours, plants basically have two separate pipelines. You've got the xylem. Think of this as a one-way street, just for moving water and minerals up from the roots. Then you have the phloem. This is more like a two-way delivery service. moving the sugary food made in the leaves to wherever the plant needs it, whether that's up to a new flower or down to the roots for storage. And this brings us to what is, for my money, the most mind-blowing part of the whole plant system. We already know there's no heart, no pump. So how do they get water to fight gravity every single day? The secret is a totally passive but unbelievably powerful process called transpiration. No, really, just pause and think about that. With no muscles, no pump whatsoever, how does water get from the ground all the way to the top of a 300-foot-tall redwood tree? The physics of it just seems impossible. The answer is so simple, it's beautiful. It all starts with evaporation. Water is constantly evaporating from tiny little pores on the leaves. As each water molecule leaves, it creates a tiny bit of empty space, a vacuum. This creates a suction force, a pull that is surprisingly strong. It's basically like sipping on millions of microscopic straws all at once. And that combined pull is powerful enough to lift the entire column of water up through the xylem, all the way from the roots to the very top leaf. So the main thing to remember here is that the simple act of water turning to vapor on the leaf is the engine that drives a plant's entire plumbing system during the day. It is, for all intents and purposes, a silent, passive, solar-powered pump that costs the plant almost no energy to run. It's amazing. So let's just pull all this together. What we have here are two completely different solutions. One is an active, high-pressure pump. The other is a passive, low-pressure siphon. Both evolved to solve the exact same problem of internal transport. And together, they are a perfect demonstration of one of the most fundamental rules in biology: form always follows function. And this table just lays it all out perfectly. The human system relies on an active pump, the heart, for a fast, high-pressure flow that meets our crazy high-energy needs. The plant system uses a passive pull, transpiration, for a slow, low-pressure flow that's perfectly suited for its low-energy, stationary lifestyle. Each one is a masterpiece of natural engineering, flawlessly adapted for the job it has to do. You know, nature has spent hundreds of millions of years testing and perfecting these systems. One is a high-speed pressure pump. The other is a completely silent, solar-powered siphon. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If we really studied these incredible biological blueprints, what kinds of new engineering marvels could we be inspired to create?